Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Pints and Quarts, a show presented by the Craft Beer Nation. Today is Thursday, March 10th, and tonight we're joined by Garrett Marrero. He's the founder and CEO of Maui Brewing Company. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show, pour some beer in the glass, and while you're pouring that beer in the glass and while the theme music is playing, that's the perfect time for you to follow us on Facebook. You can catch us on Twitter. We tweet at CBN Community. We're on Instagram at craftbeer_nation. And of course, you can find us on Google+.
Time now for a look back at the last week in the craft beer industry. Pour a cold one and sit back for an all-new episode of Pints and Quarts, presented by Craft Beer Nation.
All right. So once again, tonight, our special guest, Garrett Marrero of Maui Brewing Company, founder and CEO, chief keg washer, chief.
Done it all.
Done it all. From the rooter to the tutor. Garrett, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I say tonight, but it's clearly daytime in Hawaii right now.
It is. It's 4:30 here. So.
Okay, so we're giving you a reason to step away from the brewery for a second, right? Step out of the brew house for a minute.
Yeah, it was great to grab a beer at 4:30 and sit at my desk. So,
there you go.
Although I don't know that I'm going to get any work done after this, I'm probably going to just go home.
Yeah. So we're also joined by Gil Mello. Gil, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Doing awesome. Beer in the glass and having a great time.
And you're about to talk about beer, right? So what could be better than that?
That's
and
all I'm talking about.
Freddie Rodriguez, how are you doing tonight, Freddie?
I'm doing good, buddy, man. Like Gil said, beer in the glass, good people, good talk.
So I'm gonna just go ahead and kick it off. I mean, Freddie's drinking this great, just delicious and succulent and juicy and fantastic Trillium IPA. I'm a little jealous. Freddie, you're probably my least favorite person on earth right now.
Thanks, man. I love you.
I, however, am enjoying a Maui coconut porter, so you should be jealous because I know you can't get this. Wait, do you get this in Boston?
Yes, I do.
Just now, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is right.
So I think it's personal now, Garrett.
Yeah.
How you love that, Randy?
I'm getting out to Boston on Sunday, so I actually land on Monday, but go right into the market, and we've got events and some ride-alongs, things like that, with our distributor, Atlantic Importing in Massachusetts. So I think we have Mead Hall on Tuesday is what I'm looking at, and then was it Bukowski's Cambridge?
Yep.
On Wednesday, Craft Beer Cellar Belmont on Thursday.
Yep, that's a big place.
Yeah, and then somewhere in Westboro on Friday. So
Freddie said, "Get with him, and he'll take you to Trillium."
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
they're good people there. I can't wait to head out. I am actually craving a rosemary honey biscuit at Island Creek Oyster. That place is unbelievable.
Legit.
Yeah, it's legit. It's the shit, for sure.
But I have to say that as much as I love Driven, I would give everything to be in Hawaii right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and agree with you. I'm gonna go ahead and agree with you, Gil. I'd rather
100%.
Yeah, well, yeah, my view doesn't suck right now, that's for sure.
Do you guys can everything you make, right?
Yeah, everything. 100% of our beer is brewed here in Maui at this very facility here where I'm at, and we do everything in cans currently. We are going to be launching a special release 750 large format bottle that'll start coming out in June.
But that I can take to the beach, though.
No, that one's not made for the beach. That one's made for tables and barbecues primarily. So the cans the cans are actually made here in Hawaii. So the bodies themselves don't even have to get shipped in. So it's supporting local manufacturing. It's a better package for beer, we believe, as well. And especially in light of the beaches, the marinas, the golf courses, the outdoor lifestyle, it really fits.
So let's take a step back real quick and let's talk about your journey. Like, how did you get? First of all, I think you were from San Diego, right?
Yep. Yeah, born and raised in San Diego, and went to college in Northern California at UC Davis. Actually, still have a lot of my good friends today that are in brewing, are from the brewing program at Davis, and I studied economics and international relations up there. Beer was my, I guess I minored in beer via my consumption training. It was no actual study.
Wait, Garrett, did you just say consumption training?
Yeah, absolutely. It was after class was over, we were drinking good beer. That was kind of the thing. I grew up in San Diego, so I didn't grow up on cheap beer. I grew up on good beer. And when I went to Davis, we had a brewery on campus, or just off campus, but they had classes there. It's called Sudworks, and they were making some really nice beers back then. I haven't had them in a while, but it was a local beer right in Davis, California, and we drank that. We drank a lot of Sierra Nevada. My mom would bring up Carl Strauss from San Diego at the time too, so definitely had the thirst for the good stuff.
So you're from San Diego. You go up to NorCal, to UC Davis for college. You graduate. I think I read that you're working in the finance sector for a while.
Yeah.
And then you were like, screw this. I want to do something more awesome. I'm going to Hawaii.
Pretty much, yeah. That would be my elevator speech on it for sure. I love the financial markets. I loved what I did, but I was young enough that I felt like I was always working harder and harder, and even though I could make more money, it was incremental because I was always giving. The house was always taking the bigger piece of the pie. I was an investment consultant, so it was kind of the old adage of you eat what you kill was truly the way we operated. I went to Hawaii on a vacation and fell in love with Maui and was like, dude, that's where I got to retire. And then over the next few months, years, etc., started saying, well, how do I get there now? And then I came across an opportunity drinking what I thought was local beer, which we were talking about Kona earlier. I was drinking Kona on Front Street in Lahaina, and I learned it wasn't actually brewed in Hawaii. And I just about freaked because I was thinking, I'm supporting a local brewery here. I'm drinking something from here. And I found out it was made in Portland, closer to me in San Francisco than where I was sitting in Lahaina. And I developed an affinity for Hawaii and said, why don't we make world-class, authentic Hawaiian craft beer? And that was the vision from day one. And I just had to figure out how to do those things and was able to put it together in January of 2005. We opened operations in Kahana at our original brewpub location. So a little over 11 years ago now.
So you think your background, like, make you a little more business savvy? Do you think that helped you a lot along the way? Because there's several people that start brewery that are stepping down right now, decide to be more the face of the company because at one point, they realize business is not my thing. I'm great doing beer, but do you think for you that this part has helped you a lot?
I think absolutely. I think I was able to offer a lot of business acumen and pull from that acumen, if you will, for all of the things that were wrong with the business prior, and really make it an efficient, lean operation. To create Maui Brewing Company from, we'd taken over this brew pub that wasn't doing well. It was actually operating in bankruptcy, just emerging from bankruptcy technically, and it was a mishmash of all of these different things that all the partners each had this own thing they wanted to do. So for me, being able to take my business knowledge, apply that to the operation with a clear vision of where we wanted to go, certainly helped. I really feel like right now, 11 years later, I'm really finally starting to hit my stride, where I knew what I could do, but I was either undercapitalized or, we were, growing at a rate where I couldn't focus in other areas. We couldn't hire the team we needed. But now, we've got 103 people here now between the brewery and the brew pub. We've hired some executive positions, but it really allows me to do what I do best. And I'm really excited where we are and more excited about where we're going. But absolutely helped from the beginning.
So here's the thing. I guess my question kind of goes right into that is, so coming from like a financial background, do you find that kind of prohibits you from doing as much brewing as you would like to do? Because your background kind of makes you want, well, not make you, but it's you see the business aspect of things, right?
Sure.
So do you find that it pulls you away from being in the brew house more than you want?
I think sometimes, I don't believe it has to be this or that. I think there can definitely be a healthy combination. And for me specifically, when we first started, I didn't know how to brew. I had only homebrewed a couple of times with my stepdad back in San Diego when I was 16, 17 years old. So, fast forwarding to 26, starting a brewery, have no knowledge of how to actually operate the brew house. That was definitely a big change for me, and I had to learn very quickly. But I'm a quick study, and I read everything I could read, starting with Charlie's book, The Complete Joy of Home Brewing, which I think should be in every brewer's library. Started with that, and then we had a brewer that we had hired to run the brewery operations at the brewpub. He was actually at that site already from the prior ownership, and him and I hit it off, and we just worked together to create these beers and to really grow the company in the beginning. So I learned everything I know from him. As Tom Kearns, Tom and I are still very close today. We actually helped him get started at his own brewery on the next island over at Big Island. So he's at Big Island Brew House making fantastic beers over there. So, I learned from him, and then I continued to immerse myself in the culture and the craft. And when we opened our first production facility in 2007, he and I were the only two employees, so we did all the brewing, all the canning. I remember our first double days of brewing where, I'd kick it off, and then he'd come in and take over the brew, and then I would start to can. So, I had to learn every aspect of this business. There's not a job that we have that I haven't done within the company. So, but, to your point, sometimes I don't get to do what I want to do, but I can schedule that, and so I'm really looking forward to getting more time on the brew house, especially as we're putting in a still here soon. So I'm really excited about designing beers that will work really well as future whiskeys, and I'm starting to learn a lot more about that side. So I'm looking to step back into production a bit for sure.
So being in a beautiful place, right? We know what's going on, and you mentioned earlier you want to make authentic Hawaiian craft beer. So how has your location influenced you guys per se in what you've developed and what you're making and where you're going?
Sure. Location's huge for us, and one of the things we always pride ourselves on is we take that local pride and we infuse it into our beers. And one of those examples is the coconut porter, where we take a traditional robust porter that on its own is a fantastic porter, but we take hand-toasted coconut, which is an iconic ingredient here in Hawaii. And when you think coconut, you think pina coladas, you think the beach, you think suntan lotion, which ours doesn't taste like suntan lotion. However, some coconut beers do. We still hand toast the coconut in order to make that beer, and that influences a style that dates back centuries. Mono wheat is our American wheat brewed with Maui Gold pineapple. I'll grab the can. Actually, it's right here. This one is American wheat with Maui Gold pineapple, and it's one of our flagship brands where we take the local pineapple and add it to the brewing process to give it a killer tropical aroma, not being cloyingly sweet, but really take an American wheat and give it real dimension.
Absolutely.
So you kind of conform more to the Hawaiian styles, because I've had several of your beers, and although you're from San Diego, I don't see a lot of influence from the West Coast kind of brewing. Like I have to hack the palate of everybody. I don't see that much in your beers. So you kind of conform, as Fred asked, like more to the Hawaiian vibe, or?
Well, I think we just try to take local agricultural offerings, whether it be fruit, spices, etc., in order to influence traditional styles of beer. Now, we make fantastic traditional beers as well, like our Bikini Blonde Lager is still our #1 seller today. It's the official craft beer of Hawaiian Airlines, and it's a Helles-style lager. There's no fruit. There's nothing adulterated in its true Reinheitsgebot beer, but it's 5.2% light German lager. So, we do that, but we also do this, and we just like to use and integrate local agriculture into that. And I mean, you think about it. Like Freddie's in Boston.
Great,
I mean,
yeah,
you can't go down the street and pick a mango off a tree. I
Nope.
can, right?
Yeah,
And the
absolutely.
mangoes are killer. Everybody around the world pays a fortune to get these beautiful tropical fruits. But for us, literally, mangoes fall off the tree here. And how do we influence craft beer? Craft beer is about a sense of place. So we integrate that sense of place into our beers. Never an extract, always the fruit.
So you'd say it's safe to say that's your identity as a brewery, right? Just kind of, in craft we always talk about drinking local, but
Yeah.
for you it's about brewing local as well, right?
Absolutely. It's why I was so offended by local beers that aren't made locally. I think the truth should be out there, and I think craft beer drinkers, craft beer fans have a right to know um, what's in the beer, who made the beer, where it's made, because if they don't have that information, they can't fairly vote with their dollars.
I agree with you 100%.
We actually talked about that not long
All
ago
the
on the
time,
show.
yeah.
I'm not gonna mention the brewery because I don't want to give them any more news. But we're talking about this brewery that got bought, so this big brewery can say, "Here, we're making local brewery."
Yeah.
No,
It's not the same thing.
no.
Yeah. So
Yep.
we spoke a little bit about your finance background. We spoke a little bit about your beer, and you guys are actually about to start making even more beer. Can you talk a little bit about your new facility that you guys just built actually from the ground up, and
Sure.
and how that's going to change what you guys are doing and what you'll be able to do in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we started with the brewpub in Kahana, where it's about 4,800 square feet, 7-barrel system, 2-vessel brew house, simple pub system. Back in '05, in 2007, we put in a 25-barrel, 2-vessel production facility with a small canning line. We grew that facility from about 5,000 square feet to 13,000 square feet by the time we left it. And then that was in 2014. We finished our production brewery here that I'm at now, which is a 42,000 square foot, large, like you said, built from the ground up, designed to be a brewery, not a metal warehouse that we shoved a brewery into. And we're able to produce significantly more beer. Our last year in Lahaina, our first production brewery, we did about 20,000 barrels, 21,000 barrels of production, which was really pushing. I mean, we were cranking. And here now we have a capacity with our new tanks we just installed. I think I showed you them earlier. We're about our total capacity is about 85,000 barrels now. So by the time the rest of them are installed, we'll have about 100 to 120,000 barrels of capacity, dependent upon mix of ales and lagers, of course. And we do love our lagers, so we'll probably be towards the lower end of the 100. But we're able to continue to grow and continue to make our beer and keep it authentic by having this site. We've also invested a lot in technology, so we have a centrifuge now. We bought a new canning line that is not only fast but super high quality from a low DO standpoint. So our TPO, our total packaged oxygen, is usually somewhere around 30 to 35 parts per billion. So it's a very, very high-end quality control machine. We now have an automated racking line, so we're not filling manually off the bright tanks. We've got a tasting room, and we're adding a second brew pub here as well. So we can certainly grow into this facility further. We have another acre to build our packaging hall on, which will start next year.
Sweet.
So, we've got the what I see. This is our home in perpetuity. We would have to need a lot more beer to have to do another building, and I don't know that my heart or my mind could take construction like this again. That was a stressful time.
So you guys have plans for tours and stuff like that as well, or sure?
Yeah, we do tours now. Yeah, we do tours on the hour now from 11:30 to I think 3:30, and then the evening hours were just tasting room. But the tours do really well. Definitely recommend booking in advance. Otherwise, you might not get on the tour that you want to be on. They do sell out very quickly. We are a tourist destination here. Maui as an island, but also within Maui, craft beer is fun, and people want to come have fun here. So we do see a lot of visitors coming through here every day, so 7 days a week. So
how far are you from the center of Maui?
Well, there's the economic center of Maui from a seat of government standpoint, if you will. So like downtown is maybe 20 minutes from here, but none of the tourists stay in the central Maui typically. They're usually South Maui, so Wailea is about 10 minutes from here. Kihei is where we're at, and then Lahaina, the west side, is about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on traffic. But those are really the tourist-heavy areas, and we're very close to those.
So when you decided to open a brewery in Maui, did you stop for a second to consider the logistical challenge that you'd be facing that other breweries on the mainland don't have to face, or was it just straight youthful vigor that you just went into it?
Just get
Yeah,
It's like I'll worry about it later.
more of that for sure. I didn't know what I didn't know, and I'll tell you that was a huge wake up for sure. I mean, you think about it, we probably have the same grain costs, for example, same price per pound for hops, but then we've got to shove it in a 40-foot container and ship it across the ocean, which adds anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 per container. So you're talking about some pretty significant expenses. I've paid before for glycol, for example. I've paid the same price for the actual glycol as I have to ship it over here. So double the cost, if you will. So there are certainly challenges here to brew, which I think in some ways act as natural barriers to entry for especially a brewery of our size now. But at the same time, it's a challenge we're willing to accept. We believe that our beer needs to be authentic, and to make high quality beer, you need to use high quality ingredients. So those two things just dictate that we're okay making a little less money on our beer than if we brewed it in the mainland. But we are Maui Brewing. We are who we say we are. We have that level of integrity that I think craft beer should have. And we remain true to ourselves without sacrificing that. Yes, it costs a ton more for us to brew it here, but you know what? At the end of the day, you don't really get into craft beer for money. And if you did, then you're usually making the wrong calls.
So there's no hop farming happening in the
I
island.
was just about to ask that.
Yeah, I always.
Seems such a. I mean, you think about it's a tropical. Some kiwi styles hops probably would do really well on the.
Yeah, we do have some microclimates here. We have about 13 different microclimates right here on the volcano. Actually, I'm looking out my window at the mountain, and you have everything from coastal desert. You have rainforest. You have like kind of mountain forest. You have all these different things there, and you do get some areas like we're actually moving up country, and on Monday morning I was up there and it was 57 degrees, which is like, that's cold. And you go further up the top of the mountain and it's almost a constant 40 degrees, 30 degrees year round up there because it's 10,800 feet in the air. So we actually get snow there sometimes. So there are the microclimates that I think we might be able to grow them, but definitely not in the volumes that we use. We did have one home brewer actually that a good friend of mine lives up there, and he grew about 30 pounds of Cascade last year. We used those to do a small wet hop version of our pale ale, the Pueo Pale, and that was really good. But we don't get the dormancy period, and we don't have the length of days for sunlight that Pacific Northwest and of course New Zealand have. So it definitely makes that a challenge. And no amber waves of grain either. So thousands of acres to brew to grow what we would need. And the cost per acre here is just astronomical. And then the utilities to do the malting is crazy. So not a challenge I'm willing to accept at the moment, if you will.
So going back to the whole, putting the beer in a container, shipping it to the mainland, How can you talk a little bit about how your partnership with Stone came about?
Sure. Back in 2006, I remember we won a medal for coconut porter, and I want to say it was also for the Father Damien, which is our Belgian Dark Strong at World Beer Cup. And right after that, Tom and I, my brewer at the time, him and I were in a cab heading up to Elysian, believe it or not. This is a long time ago. We were going up to Elysian in Seattle, and I looked to my right, and I was like, holy shit, that's Greg Cook. And he has his thumb out. He's looking for a ride, just trying to get anything to let go. And he was going to Elysian. We found out afterwards. So I was like, pull over, pick that guy up. So I met Greg in a cab in 2006, and my family was already, they're like, oh, Stone. They opened the year I graduated high school, and so I had Stone IPA at my graduation party that my grandpa bought. So
Nice.
this was
Yeah,
like
much better graduation than I did.
Look,
yeah, I know who this guy is. We got to pick him up.
Hold on, Gary.
Your
Hold
grandpa
on.
was the man.
I'm saying, so your high school graduation, your grandpa's buying like Stone IPA, and then you're up in Northern California. Your mom's bringing beer up to you when she comes. Dude, your family is awesome.
Yeah, my family rocks. Yeah, definitely. I think I always say we are European to an extent. I mean, everybody partly is. Right? Like I was talking with Freddie, like my dad's side's from Puerto Rico from Spain to Puerto Rico, and my mom's side is German and Peruvian. So we're all over the place. But we were raised without alcohol being taboo. We were raised with it being just part of daily life. So it's not something we abuse. So I think we were raised that to use it properly, I guess, if you will. But growing up, when my grandpa had that keg, it was we had a half barrel of Stone IPA and a half barrel of Coors Banquet, and I'll never forget that because my friends are like, my friends are used to drinking shit beer, and I'm just like, I'm not drinking that. I mean, there were times I broke down in college and drank shitty beer, trust me. So Greg and I have been friends since '06, basically. I knowing from '96 when they opened and we had a keg at the house. My grandpa has one of the original 3-liter Magnums of Arrogant Bastard at his house. And, this was just a guy that I had to know. So pick him up. We go to Elysian, end up meeting Vinny and Natalie up there, Dave Bueller, Dick Cantwell. And I'm just like, oh, my God, I've been in the business 1 year, and these people are the coolest people ever. I'm still friends with all of them today. And I just so honored that 1 year barely in business, I was hanging out with them at Elysian. It shows you how the camaraderie of this business really is. So fast forward to 2008, we started canning in '07, and we wanted to grow. And Greg was obviously distributing great craft beers in San Diego, and so we signed with Stone in order to sell our beers in Southern California. And our relationship continued to grow. We've supported each other ever since. And one Christmas, Greg was staying at my house, and we were having coffee in the morning, looking out at the water, and we were talking about distribution and the frustrations here in Hawaii, and we looked at each other. We're like, why don't we just start a distribution company? And fast forward about 1.5 years, 2 years later, we had formed Maui Stone Craft Beverages in order to distribute, import and distribute craft beer here across Hawaii. And right now we're on Maui only, but we're expanding to the neighbor islands. So we sell, of course, Stone and Maui, but also Oscar Blues, Avery, Lost Abbey, Pizza Port. We had St. Archer, but we let them go.
What about Elysian? No, I'm just kidding.
We didn't even wait for anybody to call us and say, hey, we'd like to brand that. We're like, no, you're fired. I have great friends there, and I love them to death, but it's just not a model we support. So
is your distance from the mainland, is that the reason why you choose to can vice bottling?
One reason, just one of the many. I think first,
and the fact that you're surrounded by beaches.
Absolutely, yeah. The cans are great for the coastline, great for the beaches, marinas, the golf courses. Cans are much lighter and they do cost less to ship. You take a 40-foot container. We do ship everything refrigerated from this warehouse. So so Freddie, the beer that's getting sent to Boston, for example, comes in a 40-foot refrigerated container all the way to the door there. So it's no higher than 40 degrees the moment it gets canned, all the way through it gets to the distributor.
And can is it's a mini keg, no light,
Absolutely.
I think it's awesome vessel.
It's better for the beer, better for the environment, and the cans that we use, you notice they have these kind of ridges at the top. They're a little different. They're also much wider, about 1/8 of an inch wider on the top than the cans you see in the mainland. These cans are actually made in Hawaii, so we're supporting local manufacturing. Just like we ask to be supported for brewing our beer here, and of course making great beer, we also support the local families, the factory that's making those cans locally as well. So it's very important. But Stone's still been a great wholesaler for us, partner in San Diego, and the Maui Stone connection has been great as well. So
for our listeners to know, like normal people have supercars or hot models on their wall. Randy had Greg poster.
Oh yeah.
Oh, shut up. Whatever.
Greg's a good dude. I would say he's often misunderstood, but he's just a passionate person. And when you get to know who Greg is, you really you would count yourself a very fortunate person. He's a good dude. So
I understand, Greg.
yeah.
So you're Brewdog.
No,
Brewdog.
I didn't want to flip to Brewdog. I just want to know.
Why not? We already let it go.
Because you're talking about flavors there, and I want to know if the beer was really good or was just okay.
Sure. So two things. The beer we brewed on the show got dumped. There's no way I would have put that in my mouth. Like, that was absolutely not going to happen. I just remember watching it. I'm like, does anyone look at the color of that wort? As if 17 takes later, I was like, we've put rocks into this thing for the last 3 hours. There's more dirt than wort in there now. Right?
If you don't know what a Stein beer is, it's just in the past, like a lot of the vessel was wood, so you couldn't just sit on the fire and boil the water. So they would heat the stone and put it in, and that's what Maui and the Brewdogs did in there.
Yeah. So you know, the beer we actually brewed though to release, so the beer that everybody drank, that beer was fantastic. We took an Imperial Golden Ale and we wanted to make a high gravity beer because the Stein beer, as you said, heating up those rocks and putting them into the wort, that caramelizes sugar as well as heats the wort. So you get these really nice burnt sugar kind of caramely characteristics that come from that, and it was just a gorgeous beer. It lent some great character. Our friends at Lost Abbey do Hot Rocks Lager, which is their Stein beer. They do it, I think, once a year. And they actually shipped out their burners for us to be able to heat up the rocks to then put into the kettle. So we kind of reworked our kettle that ran out into our hop back and then back in. And so we filled, I think we had 3 or 4 half-barrel kegs full of these clean rocks that were superheated, and then we brought the wort in and then recirculated back into the kettle and did that a couple of times, and it was a fantastic beer. We used so again, Imperial Golden Ale. We added some Maui cane sugar to dry it out so it wasn't so malty, but also give it a little bit more sugar to then caramelize. And it was a really nice beer.
Sweet.
So,
Do you use sugar cane in a lot of your beers, or just?
How's the craft beer quote unquote scene in the Hawaii and Maui surrounding islands period?
Sure. Well, up until December, we were the only brewery on Maui. So you know, I used to get this award every year, and I just throw it in the trash. It was the best brewery on Maui. Yeah. And I was like, this is not that clever. Usually it was an advertising ploy to sell space in a magazine, and I just toss it because I was like, we are the only one. So. But we sold our old facility to a startup called Kohola. Kohola means whale, and so they're in our old brewery in Lahaina. They downsized it a little bit, so they're back to the original 5,000 square feet. They're 5,300 technically, and they're brewing a Pilsner. They've got a great rye pale ale, a few different styles there, and they're making some nice beer. So we're excited for them. We formed the Hawaiian Craft Brewers Guild a couple of years ago, and that guild membership means you've got to be a craft brewer by definition per the Brewers Association, and you have to brew 100% of your beer in Hawaii. And we now have most everyone in Hawaii is now a member, of course, that qualify. You know, Kona doesn't qualify, Gordon Biersch doesn't qualify, etc. Because those are here. But we've had quite a few. We've actually doubled the amount of breweries in the state in the last year. So I think we have 12 now.
Honolulu has quite a few breweries, right? Like
that's where most of them are. And you know, this is like, you know, we were talking earlier. It's like if I had thought about shipping, it would have made more sense to do it on Oahu because everything goes through Oahu, and everything's cheaper in Oahu compared to the outer islands, even electricity, gas, you name it. But at the same time, Oahu's not Maui, and Maui's a magical place. But most of the breweries are over on Oahu. Lanikai Brewing, Steve and his team, Stubum and Stonewall. There's Honolulu Beer Works. They're making some fantastic beer over there. They just did, I want to say it was Crooked Stave that they did a collaboration with. And one of the guys from Crooked Stave was out. I think Chad was out. and they brewed just a small collaboration beer with them, which was fantastic. So, I'm really excited about the craft beer scene here. We are still educating the consumers and definitely educating the accounts. I think a lot of the accounts are used to asking for a penny off an ounce, or asking for the deals. And craft beer, of course, shouldn't and doesn't mostly do that. But we're getting there. We're getting there.
Cool. And finally, Maui is truly like a family operation, right? Because your mom is the mom of Maui Brewing, right? She's the
self-proclaimed mainland operations manager.
There you go, mom, mainland operations manager.
Yeah, and most brewers in anywhere from Colorado south and Texas west call her mom, because that's how they know her. They know her as mom. And we'll be at events, and when I was first meeting everybody too, I'd yell across and be like, "Mom," and everybody turns and be like, "You're calling for your mom?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's my mom." And known for her MacGyver bag, that we call it. She brings this duffel bag or toolbox with her to every event that has everything you could possibly need to set up your booth. So people show up at events and they're like, "Hey, pretty sure that they know she's gonna have it, so they don't bring it. Like zip ties, duct tape, clear tape. Do you want pink tape? Do you need twine? Do you need scissors?
So funny.
Do you need a hole punch?" She's got it all. So she takes a lot of pride in her children, and for that I thank her a lot. She's a lovely woman, but it very much is a family business. So we're not beholden to any large corporation telling us what to brew or what to do, and we never will be either. So
cheers to you on that, man.
Cheers to your mom. Yeah.
So absolutely.
I'm gonna shift gears a little bit and talk about some upcoming releases real quick. Stone is releasing their Saison du Buff, which is their collaboration with Dogfish Head and Victory. That's going to be coming up here in the next couple of weeks. And I think that's like a Saison brewed with like rosemary and
thyme, rosemary, and sage.
Sage.
Yeah.
There you go.
I was brewing a collaboration with Stone. I think the second brewing of Saison du Buff, and Sam walks around the corner and bumps into me. We didn't know we were going to both be there, and I was brewing an Imperial Coconut Porter there. And he turns around and he's like, "Hey, smell my hands." And it's just totally Sam humor to be like, "Oh yeah," and I'm like, "I'm not going to smell your hands." He's like, "No, I was at the farm. Smell them," because I'm thinking it's knowing Sam, I'm thinking it's something else. So every time I think it's and smelling his hands.
Yep.
I got 10 emails when the release was announced. Like Boris was like on the chat. I'm a big dark. I'm not a big Saison fan. I like some, but for some reason Saison du Buff just has a place on my heart.
Devil's Backbone out of Roseland, Virginia. They're going to be releasing their Goza Tart Cranberry Ale. That's actually out right now. It's going to be available through April. Firestone Walker out of Paso Robles, California. Their Luponic Distortion that was released last week, and I think that's actually going to be like an evolving series where it's going to be like a
different hop every time. Yeah,
different hop every time. And I think we just lost Garrett.
But and I think that's their version of the Enjoy by that a lot of brewers are doing. I think it's a drink fresh kind of a. You're supposed to drink on the first 90 days, something like that, or 45 days.
So look out for that in your neck of the woods. That was released last week, so it's probably going to be ongoing. You're going to be seeing it. Psycho Brewing out of St. Petersburg, Florida. So this is actually really cool. They have a weekday release. So awesome. Tomorrow's the last release. So 3/7 to 3/11. It's barrel-aged stouts, and each beer is different. And the beer names are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yep.
So I haven't had any of these beers, but I saw one on Facebook. One guy made mention. He was like, just the description of the description alone really makes you want to get these beers. Gary, you don't have to worry about your lower third.
Yeah,
man. You're
just
fine.
worry about.
We know who you are.
All right, cool.
So they're going to be a different style for every day of the week. Is that it?
No, that's different style. They're all barrel aged imperial stouts, but they're all brewed differently. For instance, like I think one's like cinnamon coffee. Another, so they have different adjuncts, different things to it.
So it might be coconut, and you might have one with coffee. You might have one with coffee and cinnamon.
Yeah, I think they did one with. I think one's like I think one was like hazelnut and something else. Maybe like cocoa nibs and hazelnut, something like that.
So this is definitely one. If you're in St. Petersburg, Florida, you want to go to Sacred Brewing. You want to get
there tomorrow super early.
Yeah.
No, get a bunch of them.
I know.
Send me an email. I'll get you my address. That's that's a priority right now.
Someone got there. I know someone that got there at 5:30 a.m. this morning, and I think he said around 8:30 a.m. there was about 200 people in line.
I cannot do that, man.
See, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
I would have to see. I would want the whole set. I would want Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But you have to take a week off from work to do that. That's not gonna happen.
No.
Whatever. Dewclaw out of Baltimore, they're releasing their El Kabong Apricot Chili Ale. It's a 6% beer brewed with chili de arbol. I don't know what that is.
Chili de arbol, yeah.
Okay, and ancho chilies. That's good. That was released on Monday.
Tier de what?
Yesterday, Due South out of Boynton Beach, they released their bourbon barrel aged 88 shilling Scotch ale. Those guys down there can brew. I'll tell you that. So if you can find that beer, get it. Tired Hands. Whew, these guys can brew too. I ain't gonna lie, they can brew. Dry hop. This is interesting. A dry hop Trindler Pilsner. I've never had a dry hop Pilsner before. That sounds encouraging. And also,
absolutely.
I wanted to get this next beer that they're launching right. I want to watch you say it.
So this is actually the name of the beer. We're all infinite energy vibrating at the same frequency. That's the name of the beer, ladies and gentlemen.
That's the longest name for a beer I ever seen.
It is a wheat IPA. With that name, it better be a banging ass wheat IPA.
We are. That's it.
They set the expectation with that bad boy.
Absolutely.
Hoppin' Frog out of Akron, Ohio. Their Tadpole series. Yep. Their Not So Thin Stout brewed with chocolate and mint. That's going to be coming out on March 12th. Cigar City. Huh?
I want that one.
Cigar City out of Tampa. This weekend is actually Hunapoo Day, so they're going to be releasing their Hunapoo Imperial Stout at 11.5%. That's going to be on the 12th on Saturday.
Yep.
New Belgium, they're going to be releasing their Hoppy Blonde brewed with Mosaic hops. That's coming out next week. Funky Buddha on March 15th is putting out their Muy Bonita Double Brown Ale. And Cascade Brewing out of Portland, they're brewing their 2015 Brewed Krieg on March 23rd. Excuse me. So, Garrett, do you guys have any? Well, you said you guys are putting out a 750 here coming up, right?
Yeah, coming out in June. I've got. I don't have what I can't tell you what it is yet because.
Some technical issues.
The wind.
I know they're having. I want to ask him about. They're having. I think they're launching a Doublebock that's coming out for Maui too.
Yeah, I saw that.
I love the name because they actually call double shot Doublebock instead of a double shot double.
Is
so
that
it's kind of
coffee
clever name. Say that again.
It's gonna be a Doublebock with coffee in it.
Yeah, I that's what I want to know. That's why I want to ask him. But
we'll
put it in there.
Well, I'm sure he's gonna try to jump back in. They're having some bad. Well, there's no such thing as bad weather in Maui.
Some windy weather.
Typhoon. They're having some windy weather.
Yeah.
So while we wait for him to come back, I want to run down these festivals real quick. I just spoke about the Hunapoo special, the Hunapoo Festival with Cigar City down in Tampa. I've never been, but that's definitely one of the. I think that's one of the festivals that you got to go to at least once in your life. Mm-hmm. Stone out of Escondido. Not that I think Stone's alright.
Not that you like it or anything, right?
As I said, Big Greg poster in his.
So you're like, Randy, you're a Stone fanboy. You don't really have anything behind you. Well, I got a lot of Stone.
He keep that for the bedroom.
If they don't know you like Stone by now, they never will.
They're having their Equinox on March 20th. So maybe that's gonna be aligning with the spring or whatever the spring.
Yeah, the
equinox
equinox.
is
Yeah.
called,
Equinox,
the
yeah.
equinox.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
also,
the list. If whoever is interested, the list of beer is just amazing.
and the Queen City, as they call it, down in Charlotte, North Carolina, they are having their Charlotte Craft Beer Week that actually begins today and runs through the 20th. So that's a little more than the Craft Beer Week, but nonetheless, I'm sure the people in Charlotte are taking Charlotte. Charlotte has some really good beer from Unknown Brewing to Noda to Old Hickory to Old Mecklenburg.
Yep.
They're
Noda,
not far.
definitely.
They're not far from Asheville, so you got the Burial guys in Asheville. Well, just everybody that's in Asheville that we all know of. But there's also another small brewery in Asheville called Burial Brewing Company, and they make this milk stout called Skillet. Legitimate. It's a legitimate beer. Freddie, you got one?
You can see the can skillet up there. Skillet donut.
Empty
Stout.
skillet. Yeah, skillet donut. That's what it is exactly.
Probably one of the coolest labels too. If you guys ever want to see it, it's a beautiful, beautiful label, man.
Yeah.
It's,
Now-
all their labels seem pretty crazy.
Just think about for the festival list we went, and for the breweries and release you went. Why would you not drink a true craft beer or
Right.
a small brewer or local? I mean, there's no reason, right?
So we
Absolutely.
just named, I don't know, I just fired off 11 different releases and 3 relatively small but robust festivals. The only release Anheuser-Busch has had in a while is like Lima Rita,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then they have their festival is that Bud Light Town stupid
Yeah.
commercial thing. Why would
Did
you
it-
drink? Why would you?
Or infected Bourbon County.
Purple Castle. Yeah. Now, the other thing I would say we don't have here, but
Shots
it's
fired.
started marching now. You guys should go online and look. There's a lot of beer weeks starting
Yep.
on the next 2 or 3 months. So there's lots of stuff out there.
Oh, how and
Sorry
also,
about the internet connection, guys. It's we're in Maui. We don't have the
Yeah.
best internet in the world, I guess.
No
it's
worries,
all
man.
good.
Before,
Absolutely.
yeah, I actually were talking about release,
Yep.
and aren't you guys releasing a Doublebock?
Yeah. So
There
it's
you
this
go. Yeah, there you go.
one. Yeah. So it's the Doppelshot Doublebock is a Doublebock brewed with Maui Gold coffee, and then we have Hopkind, which is an India Pale Lager.
Awesome.
Ooh, nice.
Nice. What did you
I-
hop it with, or you can't tell us?
What was that?
The India Pale Lager. What did you
What you
hop?
hop it with?
It's everything Cascade primarily, but we dry hopped with Galaxy. So you got big
Okay.
Galaxy.
You're not
hop
going.
aroma.
You're not going around there.
I'll give you my address when we get off the. I'll give you my address when we get off the air.
I love the way they play with the words double shot, double box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like here's what's gonna happen. So when we finish the call, we're gonna go into the after party, and Garrett's gonna join the after party and not have any connectivity issues.
No problem.
for the rest
It's
of the
always
night.
like that.
So I also wanted to point out just now, well, 2 things. That India Pale Lager. Did y'all see that it was a sea turtle that looked like
A sea
a
turtle.
hop?
Like a hop. Yeah.
That was dope. And secondly, we would be remiss if we didn't mention Savor when it comes to festivals. I know Savor isn't until June, but it's one of those festivals that you kind of want to prepare for. So Garrett is actually going to be at Savor. We're going to be broadcasting live from Savor.
Absolutely.
We are probably going to try to snatch Garrett up at some point just to talk to him on air for a quick 10 minutes or so. Garrett, I was just talking about that IPL can. That's that sea turtle, that hoppy sea turtle. That's dope, man. That's a really cool looking can right there.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. We call it a Honu here. This is the actual main logo, and then you have the beer logo there. So.
Nice.
Pretty sweet.
So, and you said there's a 750 coming out that you can't really talk about just yet. So.
Yeah, well, it's just we're gonna take. I know one for sure.
All right. So I guess.
Have some issues.
The universe does not want Garrett to talk about this 750.
750. Yep.
We'll post the stuff on our
Yeah, we'll let you guys know.
One of
Absolutely.
the things.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're here.
All right. The one we for sure are doing is the Black Pearl, which is Imperial Coconut Porter aged in a rum barrel, and that'll come out in December-ish, based on the barrels. But it's a local rum distillery that we worked with to get all the barrels. And our Imperial Coconut Porters, obviously Coconut Porter is a great beer. Imperial Coconut Porter is highly sought after, and I would call Black Pearl the unicorn of beer. And we're really excited to be able to release that out. I think we're doing, 300, maybe 500 cases of it maximum of 750, so 12 bottles to a case. So it'll be pretty allocated, pretty limited release, but we'll look forward to that being our Dark Lord, if you will.
Absolutely.
And what about festivals? Do you have anything coming up? Any festivals on Maui or any of the
We do,
other islands?
in May 14th, we've got the Maui Brewers Festival. We're also, which is the largest festival in the state. So we bring in beers from all over the country. Beers that are both brewed here, specialty beers from local brewers, but then we bring in guest brewers from around the country to be able to showcase that and hope to drive that craft beer scene here in Hawaii. And then in June, we have a bunch coming up. We've got Savor, of course, which I'll be at personally. And then I have every weekend, we have a Beer Camp Across America festival with Sierra Nevada, because we were one of the brewers selected to brew beer for that 12-pack. So we worked with the guys at Faction and Magnolia and Bear Republic, and then also at Mad River to brew what we call West Latitude Rye. So it's a rye pale ale brewed with hibiscus, and so light, about 5.5% ABV. Beautiful beer though, and so that'll be in the 12-pack for the next beer camp beer.
Magnolia's down in like Alabama or Mississippi or something like that.
No, you're thinking of Lazy Magnolia. This is, there's so many breweries, you have to be careful now, right? Magnolia is Dave McLean out at San Francisco. So
Okay.
he's got the Alembic and the Magnolia Brewpub, and then Smokehouse. So he's his brewery originally was in the Haight, and then they opened a place in the Dog Patch to brew more beer, and they put a nice barbecue restaurant there.
Is this that the very old, like a very old building, a very old brewery that they kind of redid it or revive it? Is that the one?
Definitely old building. I don't think it was a brewery prior, but at least I don't know that it was. But definitely an old building in the Dog Patch. Yeah. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. You guys got some good stuff coming up, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in person at Savor. The three of us will be there, and
cool.
More than anything, man, we really appreciate you taking some time to step away from the brewery for a second and
absolutely
spending some time with us. We have some people who I'm sure are watching that really appreciate, the things you had to say and teaching us a little bit more about Maui. I think I'm definitely going to go and, support you a little bit more now. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go buy some more of your beer tomorrow. So cheers to you guys, man, especially with your expansion and your I think you said you got a canning line that you're going to be, or a new canning line or something coming up in the next year or so.
New canning lines online, but with the bottling line for the large format stuff's coming in here soon too. So, yeah, always expanding, and we'll actually taking the brewery off grid. So we'll be producing all of our energy here by the end of 2017. So we have a big solar project going on over the next 2 years as well.
That's awesome, man.
So there you go, brewing great beer, great people, and you're doing it the right, sustainable way, man. Garrett, thank you so much. We appreciate you to no end, man. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you. I wish the internet was better, but we are the most isolated group of islands, or populated group of islands in the world. So, we don't have perfect internet here, but it has been a great time. I definitely look forward to joining you guys again. It's been great hanging out with you, and I'll look forward to doing it again.
So, guys, be sure to join us next week when we have Master Cicerone Nicole Ernie. We had one on not too long ago. We had Neil Whitty of Duval Boulevard Omegang, but we're going to do it again. We're going to have another Master Cicerone, Nicole Ernie. Be sure to join us next week. And until then, find some good friends, find some great beer, and remember, mind those P's and Q's.
Ahoy ho kako.
This has been Pints and Quarts, brought to you by Craft Beer Nation. You can show your support for our podcast by subscribing to our content on YouTube, Stitcher, iTunes, or our website, craftbeernation.org. Thanks for listening.